I'm just pressing the go live button. And Councillor Foden has just joined us.
So I'm late.
Now we have Alison.
Okay, you're live on Facebook.
Thank you. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Events Committee meeting. I believe we're quorate now, so we can go ahead. And we have some visitors in the meeting, to the meeting as well. Right, you're all very welcome. But first of all, let me just go through the preamble to the meeting before I open it formally. Members are reminded they should declare any interest in any items that are being considered. If we have any urgent items requiring attention, we'll take them at the end. The Freedom of Information Act and the Data Protection Act both apply to this meeting. Please switch off or switch mobile telephones to silent, and the recording will be recorded. The meeting is being recorded. Right, the item on public participation. Let me just remind you that items involving a financial decision have to be taken by members of the committee. So we shall go through with the formal committee until after the event expenditure item as item 7. And then I intend to suspend standing orders, which means that people who are not members of the committee can take part in the meeting and they can speak and so on. Obviously not vote, but they can speak, and that's what we want you to do. That's what this event committee is all about. When we finish the discussion, if you like, and the general discussion, then I'll restore standing orders. Okay, now to start the meeting, apologies for absence.
I have apologies for absence from Alec Fewings and Jeff Wills from the Royal British Legion and Amanda Power from the Armed Forces Bikers. And I understand that Councillor Tamlin and Councillor Wrigley will be late, Chair. All
right, thank you very much. We're happy to accept those apologies. Yes. We'll have a vote. Thank you. Agreement to the agenda between parts 1 and 2. There is no part 2. Declaration of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest?
None, Chair.
No, thank you. Do we have any requests for dispensations?
None as far as I'm aware, Chair.
Thank you. Minutes of the last meeting. You've all had a copy, I think, and hopefully have read them. They're not very complicated. The only item I would think maybe item 74. Those are suggestions as to how we celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. We can take those in the course of the meeting if we have to. No items that require amendment. They're all happy that I signed those minutes. All happy? Yes, thank you. Right. Item 6 is committee terms of reference, which you've all had, you've all read. Do we need to go through those individually? What would you advise, Ange?
I think it's just a case of if you want to make any amendments, Chair. Each year annually they're reviewed. I think there's one full stop missing that was noted, but it's just a question of whether any councillors on the committee would like anything to be amended. Yeah,
okay. Is there anything that needs amendments? No? Okay, well,
Councillor Lingham and Bradley had a hand in the air, Chair.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
I was just going to propose that we accept them as they are, Chairman, if you're comfortable.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I wanted to propose that we accept the the terms of reference before us as and accept them. So propose that we accept.
Okay,
as
thank
is.
you. I didn't realise it was a proposal.
And I would wish to second that, if I may.
So we have a proposer and a seconder. All those in favour? Any against? No. Okay, we'll take those as accepted then for this year. Right, event expenditure is the next item. You want to take us through that, please, Ange?
Yes, I can do, Chair. If you're happy for me to share my screen so that everyone
Yep.
can
Yes, please.
see, would that be okay? Well, hopefully you're seeing that now, Chair. Okay. There's not a lot to report in this meeting. I've sort of tidied it up from the previous one, and a lot of things have now gone through the ledger, which you had approved before. Okay. So just I'm going to move down to the second sheet because everything has been approved on that first sheet.
Yeah.
And it's only the items in glorious yellow
Right.
that need approval. And just to explain where we're at with them, we have purchased, the agreement was made a few months ago for us to be able to purchase 3 new large gazebos, but the price has actually rocketed. So I have purchased 2 at the moment for just over £1,000. That's excluding VAT, and the cost there is without the sidewalls. They arrived yesterday. I've not had time to put them up, but I'm hoping that we might be able to use the sidewalls of the old ones on the new ones, and thereby save a bit of money. But at the moment, I don't know that until I actually erect them. But we bought 2, although there was agreement for 3.
Presumably the same type as the ones we've already got.
Yeah, I mean, we have no 6x3 at all now. They've all basically 2 are in very poor parlour state, and the third one was being cannibalised to maintain the other 2. So the 6x3 is the larger size. So we've basically got 2 new ones now, which is where we were at prior to cannibalising the other one, and we've got 6 3x3, and it probably would be my suggestion going forward that we aim to replace 1 each year going forward, because they are starting to show their age. I think would be a fair description.
Are they being damaged essentially by the weather?
I think it's a combination of weather and usage. I mean, sometimes they're out in all, sun and also other things. The other things are you've got to lift them up and down, that there's various fixings to maintain their stability. So I think it's just age and usage. Obviously, they've not been out. A lot of them haven't been out in the last year or so, but this just replaces what we had previously.
Okay, right, fine.
Councillor
Can I
Margaret,
ask for approval for that central item, because the others, those are a bit different.
Councillor Marhood's got a hand in the air, Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
Just to comment, I can see that Angie has done her best to save the money, but I would also say that we are very, very much within this current budget. And if she thinks that we're really in need of a third one, I would be in favour of that anyway. There may not be another year when we've actually got budget left.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, I wonder whether it might be an idea just to wait a little to see if the price drops.
But then we'll be into next year's budget.
Well, I don't mean wait a long time. I think the price has gone up because everybody's suddenly buying them, to drink outside and that sort of thing. Maybe once they've all got them, the price will drop a bit. But we can look big. But I take your point. Yes, I think it's a good idea. I don't think we ought to leave it too long before we replace them. I'll leave it to Angie's judgment for that.
I think
The other items are really more associated with our support of the vaccination programme, aren't they?
Yes, they are, Chair. there was a decision between yourself, the town
Yeah.
clerk and the mayor to allow up to £1,000, excluding VAT, for radios, headsets and software, the face visors. And we also had some road signs as well. What I will say is that since these were purchased, I will say we've supported something like, I think 24 days at the last count, or 24 full vaccination days. And on the average day, we are using approximately, just to explain, it might be helpful to the committee, when we do the vaccinations up at the hospital, we have a rota of 5 every 2 hours. And of that 5, 4 people require radios. Hence why we bought some extras, and we've now got 20 radios. Headsets, we've got less. We've only got about 10 to 12 headsets. I replaced some, but they are failing. I think the older ones are particularly failing. So if there was any latitude within that £1,000 that was agreed, I would like to be able to buy a few more headsets. I will say I think the radios are getting more use now than they've ever had. And to be honest, without them up there, I think there is a general consensus for those in the car park. There would be a lot more issues than there currently are. But that just explains those things that are there. And just to explain that the 4th item is not related to the vaccination centre. That's to dry out the stuff that we have in the container.
I was wondering what that was for. I was having a bonfire, was it?
It gathers the condensation from within the container into like a salt stick. Okay.
Yes, no, I'm quite happy with that. I mean, one of the reasons for supporting that was, of course, because it was we do need to support as a council, and the events committee is as good as any to do that. The other thing is that, of course, those radios and equipment will come in handy for events anyway. So I'm happy that we spend that money. Can I ask for your approval?
Councillor Marhood's got her hand raised again, Chair, please.
Yes, please, Councillor Moore.
If I could, Mr. Chair, I would just wish to support Angie in purchasing whatever headsets and so forth that she thinks she can need within the budget. It's important that we don't let those get into a bad state, so that we need a whole lot.
Yeah, absolutely right. Are we all in favour of that? Anybody against? So that expenditure is approved. Before we move off the item, I know we've said it before, we said it in main council and so on, but it does no harm to say it again, particularly since we've got visitors here who've been intimately involved in the vaccination programme. I know I've seen Anneli up there, and I've certainly seen Ben Birdsey hurtling all over the place at all sorts of times of the day and night. Congratulations and many thanks for all the time you spent and all the efforts you put in to provide a valuable service. It's something we should be proud of. I know we're getting through a vast number of vaccinations up at the GP surgery. I think it was something like 700 a day, something like that.
I think it depends on the vaccine, Chair, but I know for some days it has been 600, yes.
Yeah, very, very impressive. So congratulations and thanks to Angie, of course, and to you, to the entire team. Okay, so that's the expenditure finished with. And now's the time when we can suspend standing orders, which means that the visitors, all the people on the screen at the moment, can take part in the discussion, and we'll certainly welcome any thoughts you have about events that we're going through. Right, first one really is the events for 2021. Do you lead us through those two, Ange?
Yes, I can do. If you're happy, Chair, I'd like to share my screen because I think it might help just the initial bit. We have got let me just, I'm going to, there's some feedback. We've got a page on the Town Council website now, which summarises community events. So I'm going to share my screen so people can see, but obviously I can also talk it through as well, okay?
Mhm. Thank you.
Okay, this is a page running off the Dawlish Town Council website. And as you can see, it lists community events going through the year.
Yeah.
So we have basically going from February through to what we're doing even today on the National Day of Reflection, and links there to the virtual videos that have taken place, and to the forthcoming things like the community yarn bombing on the lawn and the Easter egg trail by the Chamber of Trade. I thought it'd be helpful putting this up on screen that people could see the dates. It also then lists the postponed activities. So if perhaps I start there.
Yes, please.
So Saturday the 3rd of April, and this has been agreed with yourself, Chair, that we wouldn't do the Easter egg hunt on the lawn this year because we cannot do it in the way that we would like to do it. So we've postponed it to 2022. The Dawlish Walking Festival has been postponed. The Drive It Day that would have taken place normally in April has been postponed, which is by the crash box. Then we go to the 15th of May, which is the Dawlish Garden Society Spring Plant Sale outside the Strand Centre on the 15th, followed by the 100 years of the Royal British Legion. And then coming down again, well, we can obviously add to this. If anyone with an event wants for us to add to this page, obviously delighted to do so, and have tried to add as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So for May, we've got the Royal British Legion 100 years anniversary. And then the 29th of May to the 4th of June would have been our half-term week. But having discussed with yourself, again, we've postponed that to 2022. And we're looking at potentially having 3 days of what we did last autumn or last August, which was with Uncle Jacko and Punch and Judy, etc., on the lawn for at least 3 days. So there is some presence down there. On Forces Weekend, which would have been the 18th and 19th of June, in consultation with the Royal British Legion, we've agreed to cancel that because even trying to move it was quite problematic to the following weekend. So I will mention that a bit later on, but it says on there cancelled and autumn event to be considered.
Mm.
We then have a new event that people may not be aware of, which is Monday the 5th of July, which has been announced as NHS and Frontline Workers Day. And there will be a flag raising and a toast nationally, and obviously the council will be taking part in that. If we then move on through the year, I've got in there the giant screen Wimbledon on the lawn. We've got a couple of potential, well, 2 or 3 potential issues with this. Obviously, we don't know what restrictions will be in place in July. Secondly, moving venue may be problematic. If, for example, in May, restrictions were announced for whatever reason that it couldn't take place on the lawn, we possibly couldn't move it up to Richard Weeks's field, which we had considered, because we have to apply for a radio license, which has to be done by the 15th of April. So it's going to be quite complicated. Obviously, there's still a decision to be made on whether we do a film as well as Wimbledon. As most members will recall, the film in 2019 was massively jam-packed on the lawn.
Yeah.
So whether we would be able to repeat that, we're not sure. But we haven't got to take a decision on the film until about 6 weeks out.
By then, we should know better what we're allowed to do.
Also, the other complication is on Sunday, the 11th of July at about 9:30 in the evening is the finals of the European Cup of football. And I think it is likely that we would potentially not be screening that because it would be late at night, and maybe just stick to the plan of Wimbledon at the current time. Members
Yeah,
may have a view. Members may have a view on that. The historic vehicle gathering at Powderham on the 10th and 11th of July has been cancelled, run by Crashbox. We then move further into July, and as far as I'm aware, I've seen dates for Snooky Fest, which is the 17th of July, and I have no further news on that.
Right.
On the 18th of July, Classic Cars on the Lawn. I've been in discussions with John Cora, who helps us think about how we organise this, and he thinks we could possibly go ahead. And I'll be sending out some letters to people who may be interested. Again, it depends on what restrictions, but making it very, very clear that if there are any restrictions, we may have to cancel going forward.
Yeah.
Saturday the 14th to the 20th of August is Dawlish Celebrates Carnival, and you have Ben Birdsey here who might like to update you.
Yeah. Yes. Anything for you, Ben?
Just ask Ben, that's it.
Hi, Ben.
Hello. In the last week, you would have seen that we've announced that we've had to postpone the parade till next year.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the events, we're currently working on a plan A with COVID restrictions and a plan B, hopefully a lot fewer restrictions. So there should still be some events going on that week.
Good. I think the town will be glad that you're going to do something, that we are going to have a carnival this year. I've heard lots of people comment one way or the other.
Yeah,
That's
what it's
great.
going to look like this year, don't know at this stage, still waiting for Boris's announcement, but
Well, guys,
we're definitely planning on something.
great. Well, all power to your elbow. And anything we can do to help, give us a shout.
Thank you.
I'm sure Angie will know how to make contact with them. Anything else on the carnival, Ben?
I think that's it really. Obviously the gazebos you were on about earlier on are going to be helpful for us, and all the other bits of equipment that we usually borrow are always
Okay.
greatly appreciated.
Okay, great. Thank you ever so much. Okay, back to you, Ange, on the 3rd of September.
This weekend is, we're hoping obviously things might look more normal. And so on the Friday, we've got Merchant Navy Day, the flag raising. Now, I've been talking to the Armed Forces bikers, and they have already booked the Sunday. And it seemed to make sense that perhaps because it's the weekend before the children would go back to school, that we could do something on the lawn on the Saturday, potentially with an Armed Forces flavour.
Yeah.
And so it would make quite a nice weekend. That is up for discussion. And again, members and organisations may have a view. The Armed Forces bikers have asked, I know Amanda couldn't be here this evening, but she has made the following request, which she would have raised at this point in the meeting. We are hoping that Dawlish Town Council will be kind enough to support our event again this year with paying for our fees for use of the green. We are so grateful for the council's support and kindness. Please let us know if you would like us to help with anything. We will do our best. And they have said they will be partly available on the Saturday as well for us. So that might be worth noting, Chair.
I think they're a good organisation to support. Yeah, let's make a note of that.
And then the rest of the year is obviously sort of Armistice Day, Remembrance Sunday, and then the Christmas light switch on with the date that was agreed at the last meeting, Chair. I'll stop sharing my screen now, so you may want to ask people to talk.
Okay, thank you very much, Ange. Congratulations on an amazingly full programme, considering the difficulties we've had. There's quite a lot of stuff going on. Has anybody got any comments on Ange? Yes, please. Well, excuse me. Apologies for my throat, by the way. I've got a sore throat. I'm wobbling a bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, a couple of questions. One is, you were talking about a radio license in order to move from the lawn, if necessary, to Richard Weeks' field. I'm wondering, could you give an idea of what that radio license would be if we were to get one on spec, so that we had a plan B, if you like?
From recollection, it's about £500. They did a special deal last year and a shorter timescale because of COVID, but this year I haven't got the figure to hand, but I had a quote and I think it's about £500. It's because you're broadcasting over the FM to do perhaps in car stereo, so it is quite a bit of an investment to sort of have a punt on, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes,
The-
you probably.
Sorry.
Sorry, come.
I mean, obviously Angie knows what the total cost of an event up there would be, whether it's worth, we're going to have a reduced program this next year. You're still going to have a good budget for it. And I'm just wondering whether it's something that's worth, as you say, taking a punt on.
Chair, if you'll bear with me, I'll just try and find some exact figures if you'd like to ask anyone else, and I'll come back on that point if there are any
Okay,
further
thanks, Anne.
questions.
Yes. But anybody else got any points on that? How do you feel about taking a punt on having a license just in case? Anybody else got any comments?
Got to unmute. Bear with me, Chair. I will just seeing if anyone's got any points to raise, but I can't see any hands up at the moment. Oh, Jan Lennon would like to speak, Chair.
Hello, Jan. Yes, please.
Hi, evening. Regarding the Wimbledon, if you move it to the field on the drive-in, will you be still looking for WI to do refreshments or not?
We always looked at these doing refreshments. That is one of the first thoughts that comes into our heads. Who's going to do the refreshment? Oh, well, my word, it's very wired.
I think the answer, Chair, would be yes, but the difficulty is what the take-up would be.
Yeah.
We know from the drive-in last year that the take-up on refreshments up there was quite low, despite how wonderful the WI refreshments are, and Jack know I love her cake. It is just, I'm not sure what the take-up would be, but it's just something we could definitely discuss and see how best to arrange it.
We'll just put it in temporary. It would be a lot smaller, obviously,
Yeah.
because it's nothing like the lawn. And I would be limited with WI members to actually serve. And obviously we're going to look at the way of actually serving because of the 2 metre.
Yes.
But it can be done, but we don't need that much notice really. So we'll just sit on it and wait to see what happens really.
Okay. That was very helpful, Jan.
That's fine. And Andrew, you can let me know if that's what you want in the future. So I should temporary on that one then.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Anybody else got any observations on moving up to Richard Weeks if we have to? No, we'll all have to.
Anne Lee has got a hand raised, Chair.
Yeah, hello, Anne. Yes, please.
Right.
Hello, Anne.
Yes. That's right. I've unmuted myself. No, just thinking back to that problem with being up at Weeks, I was on duty up there, and the problem for any refreshments was the lack of time, because they were so limited on getting people on and getting people off. You know, there wasn't a time factor to take advantage of refreshments. So I think the timing would have to be reconsidered if it was a possibility of having. I always have a TV when I'm watching Wimbledon on the lawn, and I would probably want to do the same up there, but it would certainly impact on the arrivals and the departures of the vehicles.
Okay. We'll take that into account. Joanne.
I think the other thing to bear in mind, Chair, is obviously last time we did it, we did films up at the field. Here you would be talking Wimbledon, which is a different type of atmosphere. I've just looked at the quotes. An FM licence would be £567, and we would have to apply by April the 15th. There's no leeway in that. And then the other costs are not what we normally would pay on for the lawn, which is about 2,600 for the screen.
Yeah.
But obviously if you moved it, you might have one film night. It's really variable at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay.
Councillor Marhood has got a hand up, Chair.
Councillor Moorhood, yes, please.
I just wonder what would be the latest date by which a decision would have to be made.
Sorry, you said it again, please, Val.
I was just wondering, Mr. Chair, what date would be the latest by which a decision would have to be made? Because everything, oh gosh, this background noise is really,
Yeah. I've got it.
everything is going to be changing all the time.
Yes.
And
Well,
so
I understand it's 15th of April, is it, Angie?
15th of April for the FM licence if you were going to move location. However, if we weren't, then obviously we've got a much broader leeway. But I mean, if restrictions are in, then it's possible maybe the deadlines will change again for licensing. But that, as it currently stands, that is the deadline to applying for an FM licence.
I wonder if the government is sophisticated enough to change a licence date to fit in with a COVID date.
Councillor Wrigley has his hand in the air, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Wrigley, have a good evening.
My apologies for being late and missing the missing start of the meeting.
You're very welcome.
My previous meeting overran, as I feared it might. I'm trying to sitting watching Wimbledon on the lawn with the sound going and people around you is a fantastic experience, and sitting outside and watching it, it sort of makes it feel like you're there, and it's you got the what's it, the roar of the grease paint and the smell of the crowd all around you and all that sort of stuff going on. Sitting and watching it in your car on the radio without other people around, I think I'd probably rather sit and watch it at home.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'd get that sort of experience of being out with the crowd and part of the event and sort of feeling like I'm there, which I would down on the lawn with the big screen and the loud sound around me and everybody joining in and cheering and all the rest of it. I'm not sure that it would be the experience that we would want.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'd be that big of a draw. So I would suggest if we have to put up large amounts of cash for something that might not have the draw that people would want. It might be unusual, but that's just from my perspective, thinking of how the two events would feel. Different to a film, because going out to a film in a drive-in is quite fun, but
yes.
You're sitting in your hot car. If it's a nice warm day and it's sunny, you're going to be roasting in your car. And if it's not a nice day, you're going to be sat in your car. And I think I'd rather sort of stick the TV on and watch it from outside in my garden if I can, or watch it at home, or rather than so. I'm thinking it's probably not an experience that would be that attractive.
Can we take a straw poll on that? How many of us agree with Martin on that? I must say I do. I can't see the hands, Andy. Can you help?
You've got hands up from Councillor Goodwin Bradbury, Councillor Marhood, Councillor Wrigley, Councillor Tamlin, Councillor Foden. So I think that's pretty much an agreement. I mean, it is very much a plan. It was very much a plan B. One will say that.
Yeah.
So
I think it's useful to have that flavour, because I must say that's very much the way I feel too. It's the flavour of the thing that matters, I think. Val, you've something to add?
Yes, I agree with what Martin just said. Just for the record, though, can you tell us, Angie, what the cost of holding it on the lawn will be if it's not if we're not allowed to have it, if it can't take place? Just for the record, so that we all know.
Okay, you mean if it's cancelled? If it's cancelled, Val, is it cancelled? Is that right? Yeah. Okay. What happened last year was when our event was cancelled, our deposit rolled forward. So at the moment we have a £600 of deposit on this year that we couldn't use last year. Bearing in mind the screen is a community screen, which is hired from Teamish District Council through the arrangements there, I would imagine that we wouldn't lose our money. It would just hopefully roll forward in some sense. The main, obviously, outlay is going to be the screen. If we didn't go for a film, that reduces the cost from previous years and just kept it to the Wimbledon on the lawn. Then you're looking at the cost of a TV license and the cost of the screen, plus the hire of the lawn. And obviously the TV license I could probably purchase quite late. The screen, if we couldn't hold it, we would roll forward. We didn't lose any money on this event last year when we had to cancel. The one benefit perhaps of just keeping it to Wimbledon is if there are any restrictions and we had to look at social distancing, we could do like we are with the Punch and Judy and having socially distant circles or things like that. Obviously, until we know what the guidance is from the events research, etc., that the government is doing for public open space events, where it's really difficult to enclose them, I think it's really difficult to say. And it is largely a moot point, but I think the Waggle Events, who have run this with us before and they've run the one up at the field, are well aware of the constraints of the public space area and COVID.
Okay.
Thank you.
But the general feeling of this group is that we're going to stick to Wimbledon on the lawn. See what happens in between now and then. Okay, no, that's useful. It's a useful guide. Any other items that anybody would like to raise on the events that Angie went through? There are a couple of things that you pointed out, Angie. Yes, Val, you've got one.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the 100-year British Legion event, is that something that they're organising themselves with just our assistance, or will the council be directly involved with that? Just out of interest's sake, that's all.
I honestly, I don't know. I think they're still firming up their plans for what will happen and where it'll happen. But obviously, we've been talking about it, but I don't know what they've got currently planned.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there's been a bit of second thoughts going on, I think. So we're waiting. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask for more information on or make an observation about?
Councillor Foden has a hand raised, Chair.
Yes, Councillor Foden, thank you. Thanks for the comment.
So I'd just like to let people know about the Dawlish virtual Easter Bonnet Parade, which has been launched. So this is a creative Easter bonnet creation. You will see posters around and on the Town Council website and Facebook page. So it's a virtual competition. So for people to pose with their creation and take a selfie and send the JPEG file into the Town Council email address, admin@Dawlish. And closing date is next Wednesday, the 31st. And it will be judged by Reverend Dallas Ailing plus myself. And it's going to be a virtual parade. So everybody's entering JPEG photo will be transformed into a big virtual Easter bonnet parade. So it's something to brighten Dawlish up, brighten Easter up, and give a bit of cheer and hope. And you never know what you can make out of sticky back plastic and a bit of toilet roll or whatever.
It's a good idea. Good idea. Thank you very much for that, Alison. Duly noted. Put it in the list. Thank you. Anybody else with anything? Okay, well, we'll proceed with the list.
Chair, Councillor Marr's got a hand raised.
Sorry, who has?
Val has got a hand raised.
I just wanted to ask Councillor Foden, are there specific age groups for this? Since we're going out live, it will help the community to know.
Yes, there are. So it's open to all ages. So there will be categories for young people in the different years, from under 5s up to 16-year-olds. 16, 17-year-olds if we do get entries from teenagers, and then there will be a category for adults. So it's open to all entries will be welcomed, and we look forward to seeing all the wacky and unusual creations. I'm sure we'll get lots of entries, I hope.
I hope you do. I hope you do. Thanks for that. Okay, so that's the events for next year, or the remainder of this year, rather. We'll plod on and hope that we can do as many as possible. Last item on the agenda I would like some views on is the draft tourism strategy consultation. Now, just to give you a bit of a background to that, there's been a lot of talk about when all this COVID business is over, what sort of world are we going to need to be? What sort of thoughts should we have about what sort of town this ought to be? What sort of flavour of the place should we ought to have? What should it look like? What sort of activity should we have? All that comes down to really the future of the town, the future of the parish as a whole, which ties in with tourism, because of course that's our main business. That's what we're all about. So we've written a draft strategy outlining the sorts of things we think we ought to look at, where we ought to go with it, and really we're going to ask everybody in the town, everybody in the parish, to give us a view, not just on the strategy, on the parish. This is the future business of the town, the parish. Tourism is the big thing. So we need your views on how we can promote tourism, what we can do to improve the town, make it more attractive, depending on however you decide on what attractive is. So we're looking for ideas, more ideas the better. We've got a few bob in the kitty. We'd rather hope that we'll be able to do some things. As we'll be able to do everything that we want, but the idea is, unless you dream, you don't achieve anything. So, however, whatever your ideas, we'd be very welcome to have. Now, I'll shut up and leave you to think about that and make any comments you wish. Thank you. Any thoughts? Is it worth doing? It's not worth doing. Is that what we're saying? Councillor Ridley.
I think Councillor Moorhood had her hand up first, to be fair.
Oh,
Chair.
I'm sorry, I didn't see her.
I was just going to say, is it worth doing? It certainly is. We've got to get this town back on, well, the town and parish back on its feet. And not only that, this year, that so many more people will be holidaying in this country, and we need to tap into that. But it's not just, to my mind, I've been part of the group, as you know, to my mind, it's not just a case of what else we need to do. It's also a matter of saying, what have we got already? What do you think is good about this part of the world? What do you think we already have to offer, as well as building on it? But yes, we need people to take part. We need ideas. We need to go forward. We've got to boost the economy and boost our spirits as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, absolutely right. Councillor Wrigley, you had your hand up too?
I did. One of the larger projects that we've talked about for years and years and years, since long before I was involved. Councillor Moorhood will probably tell me it goes back many, many years before I was involved, is the idea of replacing the bandstand. Now, I think that is a sort of a central project that will take us a little while to sort of pull together our ideas of what is needed. But in relation to the events committee, one of the things that I think is vitally important is that we think about what we need. You know, were we to replace the bandstand, what would we need from a new structure? What would it look like? What would it perform for us? How would it make us, how would it give us a better events? What should we do with it? You know, thinking radically, like, you know, from a carnival point of view, would it be easier if the bandstand was off to one side or further back towards the bowling green, or should it be in the same place that it is, but just provide more facilities to use out from it? You know, we've talked before about a 360-degree capability so that you could shut off one side. So, for example, you could shut off the side towards the main lawn and have the open side towards the bandstand. So you've then got a small private area where you can do shows or small things, or you can shut off an area there without taking out the whole of the lawn the other way. Or have it open so you can have the brass band competition every Sunday, which I think I really want to have. You know, I mean, it may sound very retrospective, but I think a brass band is a fantastic thing. And having it playing there would be marvelous on a Sunday afternoon. Think what a tourist attraction that would be. Let alone the fact that that then brings up choirs and bands and music competitions and the whole thing going on with that. So that then sort of implies a structure that is open, that is flexible, that's got electricity and sound and light and internet and all these things built into it, plus flexibility, plus storage space. But that's not a cheap thing to do or to build or to keep running. And it's got to be something that makes our events easier and better to run. But it's achievable. It is achievable.
Oh, thanks for that, Martin. Any other thoughts? I mean, I bored everybody to death every time I've managed to back somebody to a corner. It's about time we had more activity down at the seaside. You know, we've now got something like a promenade with a new seawall. I'd like to see a little harbour down there, little boats coming in and out. I'd like to see a ferry service or a taxi service, if you like, running down the coast, including here and Teignmouth and Torquay, perhaps. On regular service. Love to see that. It's a side of the town that is wasted in a way, because we have the attraction of the railway, but with the cost of not having a little harbour. I'd love to see Boatcote turn into a little harbour. And I keep on going on at people about that. Maybe that's something we might be able to manage in the future. Any other thoughts?
Councillor Goodman-Bradbury's had a hand up for quite some time, Chair.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
That's okay. I was just going to say, I'm a member of the History Society and Museum, what have you. I mean, history is a big thing in Dawlish, and we really could make a lot more of it. There's an awful lot of exposure about it on Facebook, and I think people from all over the country are watching the photographs that are posted on there. So I think if you know, I think there'll be I do think we're going to have a bumpy year for people wanting to come along and having a look at Dawlish from what they've seen online. There's a really big network that people that follow the developments of the railway and the seawall and all of that kind of thing going on. They're going to want to see what's been going on with all the posts that have gone in by the train station, because they've seen the wave walker and all that kind of thing. Now he's gone. I think it's going to be a good year from that point of view, but I think it might be a good time to get out there with clipboards and talk to some of the visitors, because it would be really good to, you know, what do you think? What would you like to be able to do? Is there things that we're missing here? We know there's some lovely opportunities for tea, cake, cream teas and all that kind of thing in the town. Is there something that other people, you know, there are other things that they would really like to get involved in? I mean, I know someone who's got some property that they're going to be renting out for the first time this year, and we're very surprised that even though they've only just kind of started to put it out there and advertise, they're getting a lot of interest. A lot of people want to get away as soon as the government kind of makes up its
yeah.
mind when the dates are good. So I think we are going to have quite a few people locally having the holidays, and I think it'd be good to learn from them what they like, and we can learn from that to keep it rolling and keep it going, I think.
I'm sure you're right. Thank you. Yeah. Val, you had your hand up?
Actually, Carol just beat me to it. So.
Oh, sorry, Carol. Yes. Yes, please. Sorry.
Myself. Okay. Yeah. But before COVID, when we used to go on holiday, we used to meet people and talk to them. Where do you come from? Dawlish. Oh, love Dawlish. Love Dawlish. Anyway, only last week I was had to go to Torquay. I sat on the bench with two ladies there. Where do you come from? Dawlish. Oh, we love Dawlish. We do love Dawlish. We can't wait to go back to Dawlish. What is it about Dawlish that they love, do you think?
Yeah.
That everybody is saying they love Dawlish. Yeah. I mean, I say it, but I mean, they don't even live here and they say, oh, I love Dawlish.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. That's part of the talking that Lynn was mentioning. We need to talk to people and say, what brought you here? Why did you come? What, are you coming back? If so, why? Yes, absolutely right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Yeah. Well, when I first was looking around to where to live, I hadn't been to Dawlish. I'd been to the other place, Torquay, etc., etc. I came to Dawlish on the sunny, walked up the brook on the lawns, and I said, I could live here. And I suppose it's about that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not going to, unless somebody else particularly wants to say something, I'm not going to pump you for answers right now because it's been dropped on you.
You've got Councillor Lowther, you've got Councillor Marhood, and you've got Jan Lennon of Dawlish WI wishing to speak.
Oh, right. Yes, please. I've got a small screen, you see, so I don't know who's got the hand up.
Mr. Chairman, 2 or 3 things which have been brought up before. Clipboards, yesterday, the previous working group were out, and we got an idea of what some of the things people like about Dawlish. They like the green space, they like the book going through it. We are unique. Also, we're so behind the times, if you like, that we've almost got a niche. But one or two things that we don't make enough of, the fact that people could come here in a green eco way. They can come by train, they don't need to bring the cars. They can go to all sorts of other places by car from here, or bicycle, or walk. We've got a very lovely green hinterland, lots of walks. We could cash in, to use a phrase, on the eco-tourism that's around, as well as all our other themes. And I don't think we've ever made enough of this fact that we are so well served by the railway. And you can literally arrive at the beach by rail. There can't be many places like that. And just thinking of the history, I'm sure that Councillor Goodman Bradbury could confirm this. Some years ago, I remember looking at an item by Isambard Kingdom now at the museum. It was a diagram about all sorts of things, and on the back of it, there was actually an outline plan for a marina. That never happened, did it?
Right, yeah.
But all things possible, we've just got to wait another 200 years, but we'll get there.
Thanks, Lynn. Yes, Lynn. Jan.
The one thing about Dawlish and why people love Dawlish is because we have the lawn, which is the centre part of the town, with all our shops around. It's brilliant for coaches to drop people off. But what we lack in Dawlish is that it's brilliant for the elderly because they can walk around. We don't do enough unless we put events on for children. There's nothing there for the youngsters to come in from the caravans into Dawlish. They come to the beach, but they don't come into the town because it's nothing here. And I'm not sure what we can do about that, but it is sad that it's lovely place, Dawlish. When I first come to Dawlish 34 years ago, I thought, this is the place I want to be. I would never move away from Dawlish. But it suits me. But my children are gone because they grow and they come back when they get older. So
well, what I can tell you, there's another group with links with tourism and the events who are talking at the moment about putting in a walk, a pathway alongside the lawn to a play park on the area behind the hospital. You know where the existing park is now?
Yes.
In that area. So we're hoping that we're going to be developing that before too long. It's a question of getting the plans out and getting the permissions and of course getting the money, as always.
Yes.
But that need has been recognised and we're hoping to do something about it.
We have got the crazy golf, but we can create more than the buildings are happening with by the train station and do something there as well, regular punchy duties or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's always it.
I think it's important to keep the character of Dawlish because it is unique. If you go to other towns, they haven't got the wildflower, all the swans and that. The areas and the people, and the Dawlish people are lovely people.
Yes, yes. Everybody says, you know, what a friendly crowd we are, apparently, for some reason. Right, can I just leap in for a moment because it's 2 minutes to 8 according to my watch, and at 8 o'clock there's the minute. Is it a minute of recollection?
It's a shine a light outside your front door, Chair, as part of the National Day of Reflection.
Okay, so what are we going to do in this meeting?
You can adjourn if you'd like for five minutes and come back. Chair, that's...
Well, I'm happy to do that if that's what people want to do. Yeah? We'll adjourn for 5 minutes.
So back at 8:05, Chair, yes?
And we'll resume at 8:05.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the meeting adjourned.